Welcome to the Duality Way podcast, where we discuss all things health and wellness from a professional perspective and an understanding of the dualistic nature of life.
Today's topic is going to be meal prep for your workforce. Teams that eat well are teams that thrive. All right, so I don't know about you, but I know when I don't eat well, especially in the morning, like for breakfast and things like that, I need my breakfast. I know you don't, but I need my breakfast. If I don't eat a good breakfast, then I am flat for the rest of the day. And when I'm flat, or if I don't have enough energy, I am very irritating to work with.
I can attest to that, yeah.
I start outsourcing my brain. I start asking too many questions that I actually know the answer to, but it's like I'm just too lazy to think about it. And so that obviously has a knock-on effect to everyone else that I work with. Yeah, and I feel like meal prep is obviously maybe not too much in the breakfast sense of things, but in terms of lunch, it can help to avoid that.
Well, I mean, as you know, if I get hungry, I get hangry.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lead to constructive conversations because I get more annoyed when you are outsourcing your brain, and then that then leads to us having a fight instead of just saying, hey, maybe you should have something to chow, dude. So I do agree with you. I think meal prep is one of the easier ways. And I mean, I know it's something that we've instilled in our kitchen team, is sort of making them start making their food earlier, because they always wait for like 2 o'clock, and then it's like that's when we're busy, and then obviously that then sets everyone up for kind of like a frustrating time, because then the one person's kind of waiting for the rest of the team to do their part, and they're not doing it because they're busy doing something else, making their lunch. So which is also, it's obviously the philosophy behind fit meals as well, is that we understand that that's kind of the pressure that people are under. But one of the biggest things for me with meal prep is the alleviation of stress, like long term. Because if I know I'm in for a busy day tomorrow, like I am, the meal prep side of things just helps me to kind of relax about trying to rush around, either finding lunch or asking someone else to make it for me, or having it ready. So the meal prep kind of just helps me to take it with me, and then I'm good for the day. Because then I can just make sure it's all packed in and I'm good.
2 hours on a Sunday saves you many hours during the week, right? Not only is it the time saving aspect, but it's about the mental kind of weight of the decisions, and knowing how long that's going to take, or and just being distracted from tasks, having to think about food, and so this kind of thing definitely helps. Let's talk about the role that maybe companies can actually have, or organizations can have, in assisting their people to either meal prep themselves, or obviously provide meal prep for their employees. So I mean, from my perspective, I think education, right? 100%, like we really need to just get it out there to our staff, to our employees, that when you prepare your food, you've got less stress throughout the day, meaning that your workflow is quicker. You are putting less pressure on the people around you. Not to say that you shouldn't take your lunch break and spend an hour to relax, but if you are spending an hour worrying about what you're going to eat and ordering and eating trash, then you're not really resting.
I was actually going to mention the rest part. Sorry, just to jump back to the previous part about the benefits of meal prep. One of the biggest problems that a lot of people have, like, I mean, we've mentioned this in many podcasts before and many discussions that we've had with companies, but like the aspect of travel really puts pressure on people. So especially for families where the parent is rushing home to try and make food for the family, let's say that takes an hour and a half. If that person is rushing from work at 5 o'clock and there happens to be a traffic jam and they only get home at 6:30, the food's only ready at 8. You've got kids that are starving, they're out of their routine, which then puts you out of your routine, which then creates a problem for you the next day because you probably haven't slept well and you probably haven't eaten properly either, which is why I think a lot of parents jump to junk food, which is then also going to put you out of your routine and out of your sort of systems. But then to the rest point as well, even if you don't have a family, the nice part about meal prep is that it literally, you don't have to think about it. It's done.
And it frees your evening.
You just relax. And it's actual rest time instead of it being like an active rest, basically, where people are like, well, it's not work, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's rest time. You know, that's the thing. And I think it's one of the things that I've really appreciated about the last couple of years of companies as well, is getting involved in sort of lessening the personal admin side of things. And I think one of the biggest benefits that I've definitely seen with people that I've coached is kind of when they're entrepreneurs and they're still on themselves, because they tend to do it only for their staff members, it becomes problematic because they typically have more freedom, sort of flexibility with their time, but on top of that, they've also got more responsibilities within the business because we all try and save money. That's just the reality of the world. And you know, one of the biggest things for me when it comes to like the coaching conversation I had with Komotso on Friday, she ordered lunch here, and then she was like, oh my word, it's so nice not to have to think about where I'm going to get lunch. Is it going to be healthy? Am I going to be able to stick to my goals? All of those kinds of things. And I think people put a lot of internal pressure on themselves to stay healthy, but they never set up the systems around them to actually attain those goals. And if they do, they don't necessarily create sustainable systems where no matter what, it's happening. And so I think that's one of the things that I've seen with some companies is when they assist on that side of things, it's very nice because it actually alleviates a lot of that pressure on the person, and the person can fully focus on their work when they're at work, and they can fully focus on home when they're at home, and it's leading to more well-rounded lifestyles. And yeah, I
think that's a very good point. I really struggle with focus. I do have ADHD, and I'm not medicated, but I have to manage my environment to ensure that I'm actually able to get work done. And for me, the biggest difficulty that I have is that if I am task switching, it takes me a long time to zoom out of one task and to zoom back in to another task. Now, it gets worse the more stressed I am, and which is really counterproductive, because if I have a lot on my plate and then I'm thinking about a whole bunch of other things at the same time, and it slows me down severely. Having to eat is another thing on top of that list. Having to think about how I'm going to organize food is another thing on top of that list. So meal prep just helps to sort that out.
And maybe something else. I know, for instance, I've seen you do it before, where like you'll just put off eating until you've got time. So like you'll focus on that task until you finish it. And I do the same, especially if I'm in an environment where like I have a lot of meetings and I actually can't get a healthy source of food that's actually going to sort of attain my goals. I just won't. I would prefer not to eat rather than eat something that's either going to make me feel bad or is just not going to meet my requirements. And I always notice it just leads to unproductive meetings thereafter. And so I think, you know, it's one of the best parts. We've mentioned it over and over and over again. It's just having that control of your own sort of time frame, and just having that thing, you know, like we always talk about having financial safety nets almost, but we never really talk about productivity safety nets. And I think that might actually be a really good way to sort of introduce meal prep. Is it's actually your productivity safety net. It's something that's there not necessarily because it has to be every single day, but it's there so that on the days where it is difficult already to be productive, you can still stick to it. So I think in terms of that, that's really, really great. And then also, like we were mentioning, you know, we also need to kind of discuss the team dynamic around it. Eating is a social thing, but I find especially in the workforce, people want to kind of isolate themselves when they're eating.
I think because they're so overloaded with work, they just want to like, they're not just overloaded with work, but people tend to get overstimulated. So then they just want to isolate and just eat
some
and
decompression time.
Decompress.
Yeah, and I think the meal prep would also allow for the speediness of the eating, so that if you do still have time on your break to go and be social, for instance, KG loves having family meals, and everyone else is kind of like, guys, I just want to be in my own space for a little bit, and then I'll come chat to you. But like it's also one of the things that's just allowing for that social aspect to happen, whilst still keeping things as efficient as possible. Because now imagine like someone's going and then the kettle's busy because someone's making their 2-minute noodles, and now you don't want to go and make, for instance, someone who's just going to have a coffee at lunch, you don't want to go make your coffee because someone's making a 2-minute noodles, and then the microwave's busy, and then there's noise in the kitchen, and then whereas if it's meal prep, it's literally just put it in the microwave, 10 minutes at max, and then you're good to go.
It's about creating space. Creating space for yourself when you know you're going to need it, and almost over catering for yourself.
100%,
because you need to. Because the reality is that 30-minute meeting is going to be a 35 or 40-minute meeting or 45-minute meeting. Like inevitably, it's always going to be that way. People always seem to have something to say, or there's never enough time to actually put everything into one meeting, or that meeting that was supposed to cover everything lands up only covering overview, and then you actually have to have individual meetings for each project, or things like that. Like it's never what you expect it's going to be. So over cater for yourself so that you've got space for your productivity, and that means meal prep. It means leaving space for yourself to decompress. And in terms of companies' roles, either having a cafeteria or but specifically catered towards more healthier meals, I think is incredibly important. Choice is good. Like obviously you can't always eat super clean, but you do need to have the option to have food that's actually going to fuel your productivity, and not make you dead weight for the rest of your team. It's incredibly important.
Well, I mean, we've discussed this as well. You mentioned, having choice. If you have whole ingredients, it's very difficult to make a bad meal. The problem comes in most of the time when it's processed meals. And I think that's the big thing for us, especially at Fit Cafe. We don't believe in bad ingredients. We believe in bad production. So, even if you do have a cafeteria as a business, one of the things you could try and do just to try and boost productivity is double check the oil consumption, the oil usage, in order to try and make sure that it kind of aligns with just making sure your team are productive and safe. Because the other thing that we haven't actually mentioned is eating poorly can lead to dietary diseases like diabetes type 2, for instance, and that all causes a lot of stress, both financially and just on a personal level, and it all distracts the individual from just living their life. Forget about necessarily, we obviously want them to be productive in the workplace, but forget about that. Just removing that stressor, loyalty to the company goes up, productivity goes up, all of those kinds of things, and that's part of what you mentioned about education. Educating people on why their choice of food matters is really important. I've been dedicating a lot of time at the moment to teaching our kitchen team about, because this, they'll have bread with cheese or bread with just butter for lunch, and I'm like, guys, that's not okay. It's not enough protein, you need more protein. It's okay for like fuel, don't get me wrong, the calories are there, but in terms of like protein, it's not enough.
And fiber
and all of the other dietary requirements, it's not enough. It's not going to make you a healthy individual. And we're lucky that they're young because, they're not as heavily affected by bad choices yet.
But as you get older, it compounds. And look, I think at the end of the day, what companies and organizations need to try and address is that when you have healthy employees and a healthy workforce, they cost less, they're more productive, they contribute more to creativity and innovation, it is incredibly important. And if it's in the company's best interest to have healthy employees, which it is, then surely they should be investing time into assisting the employees on making healthier choices.
100%.
And yeah, that to me is probably one of the biggest points and biggest takeaways out of this. Either by providing a meal prep service or outsourcing a meal prep service, or even just providing education so that they can do the meal prepping themselves, that kind of thing. It's incredibly important. It's actually a no-brainer these days.
To your point about the ways the company can assist, it can even be as simple as letting people know what options there are. It doesn't necessarily mean that you as a company, because especially for small businesses, it's quite tough to afford assisting when it comes to actual purchasing of the meals.
Yes.
But for instance, letting people know, listen, this company does this. This is what's great about them. Investing that time in educating them just on the options that are out there. Because there's going to be some people that need halal meal requirements. There's going to be other people that need vegan. There's going to be other people. So kind of just get a basic understanding of who offers what. And educate your people on it. And forming some sort of collaborative partnerships, because 90% of the time when you reach out to a company that does some sort of catering or meal prep, if you say to them, I will educate my employees on your product or whatever, and in return, can you please give them a discount when they order? That kind of thing. Like it forms a partnership, and it benefits the meal prep team, it benefits the company, and it benefits the people, because then they also get a discount from it, and they are getting healthy out of it. And on top of that, it makes their families healthier, which in turn also something for parents to consider. It's going to lessen your kids being sick. Well-fed people, forget about employees, forget about teams, just well-fed people are more resilient, they're more able to withstand sickness, they're more able to actually recover quickly.
Which is a big thing for parents, because
if your kid takes 5 days to recover, there goes all of your family responsibility leave, and that's that's
then
so precious.
Chances are everyone else in the house is getting sick, and then the cycle continues. Never recover.
It's so funny. It reminds me of a conversation that you and I actually had it. When we just opened the cafe, both Carl and I were under a lot of stress, and we weren't necessarily eating the best. And then, having the meals here at the cafe, it really helped us, because number one, it was done by someone else we had the time, and number two, because of the way we've designed meals that are inherently healthy but still tasty. And so I know for me, one of the reasons it worked well for me was that there was someone else doing it for me. So I actually didn't have to invest the time, which meant that I wasn't as lazy as I normally am, where I'll just do 3 eggs and a potato for lunch, which is good enough, but it clearly didn't do everything that it should have, because the minute we started having full meals here, my body, I could feel a huge difference. I don't know about you.
I haven't been sick as often, and for someone who's had immune issues before, that's a big thing. So I can say that my immune system has definitely improved. And oftentimes, look, with my partner, if my partner ever got sick at home, then 95% of the time I would get sick. It was almost a given. It's like, I know that if he gets sick, I'm getting sick.
Okay.
And now when he does get sick, I actually have a chance. There's like a 50-50, maybe I will get sick, maybe I won't.
Which, because of proximity of work, means that I'm probably also at a 50-50, just so that you guys are aware.
But I do find that I'm a heck of a lot more resilient. I'm now also, again, you see, this all has a knock-on effect. I'm now able to stay more consistent with my training, because I'm not sick once a month, or I'm not sick once every 6 weeks. So I can actually go through an entire training regime without being interrupted. So it helps.
Big time, And on top of that, so obviously the training that you mentioned there, it's part of our work. But not only that, it's also about quality of life. And when people are able to do the things that they want to outside of work as well, and they achieve their goals on a personal level, not just on a career-based level, there's a huge personality shift that I've noticed in people where they just become more at ease because they're less frustrated, and that's just the reality.
Having chronic issues is never fun. I mean, it's an added stressor, you know.
Even just feeling like a failure for the people who don't have time to achieve, because we all want to set goals outside of work. So creating that time, and like we mentioned, the space to actually achieve those goals, which meal prep does help with, it's a huge factor in terms of personal achievement.
Cool. And I think that's a good place to leave it off. That's all we have time for today. Join us next time for
Corporate Wellness Rewired, the triple play of movement, mindset, and meals. See you guys there.
See you guys next time.